Okay, boys and girls, we are going to continue talking about our Wild Thing Monster project. Now, remember, we were talking about this story, Where the Wild Things Are, and our goal for this project was to actually create our own Wild Thing monster that is very colorful and creative, that has textures and complementary colors. But before we actually create our monsters, we need to do some brainstorming. That means thinking about what we're going to create and some practice. So last week we had started with this worksheet right here, and you were creating 6 different textures in these boxes with complementary colors. So you will finish this first today. This is your practice. If this is complete, then you can grab this worksheet right here that says Wild Thing Monster. This is where you're going to start to brainstorm some ideas for what your monster is going to look like. How is your monster going to be unique and different from someone else's? So you're going to start by putting your name on the top. And let's go through some of these questions so that you understand how to answer these questions. Number 1 here is just a blank that asks you to write, my monster lives where? So think about your monster. Where do you want your monster to live? It could be anywhere. So I'm just going to pick the ocean. It could be the ocean, it could be the jungle, it could be the forest, it could be anything you can think of. So number 2 says, the animals that my monster is made of are, there's 3 blanks here. I want you to challenge yourself to think of 3 animals that your monster could be made of. So when we were looking at the story Where the Wild Things Are, all the monsters have different parts to them. For example, this monster right here might have a bird beak, but it might have some legs that look more like a bear or a different type of animal. This monster has more of like a bull head, but then he has these feet that kind of look more human. This monster has bird-like feet with these scales on his legs and these webbed feet, but then his body doesn't look very bird-like. He doesn't have any wings. It looks kind of more like a different type of animal. So think of 3 animals that your monster could be made of. Some students last year created monsters that were sea creature monsters, but also had other parts of other animals like a bull or a bear. So I think I'm going to pick 3 animals here. I think I'm going to do an octopus, a cheetah, and a bat. So they could be totally different animals. They don't have to be related animals. Totally different is fine. Okay, so now down below here, number 3 says, some textures my monster will have. I need to draw 3 different textures that my monster could have on it. So think about your monster. If you had an octopus monster, partly an octopus, what kind of texture would you see there? Maybe you'd see polka dots like this, because octopus have these little suction cups on their tentacles, kind of like this octopus right here has these little suction cups. So it might be that type of texture. So I'm just going to remember to fill in this box with lines or shapes. A texture, when we want to show it in art class, we show lines or shapes very close together. Okay, another texture I could show on my monster. Let's see, maybe a cheetah. A cheetah is very furry, so how could I show fur? Maybe lots of lines put together like this. And that could be my second texture on my monster. Okay, I need 3 textures here, so my last texture could be, let's see. Maybe I could have a texture that reminds me of wings, because I do have a bat parts in my monster, so maybe I could do something like this. Like the feathers of a wing. Kind of like the scales of a fish. And I could keep putting ovals next to each other like that. And that could be my 3rd texture. So I need 3 textures here. Okay, once I have 3 textures, I'm gonna flip to the back here. Here is where the fun part starts. The directions here say, sketch some ideas for your monster. Use different animal body parts. Include some texture ideas on your monster body parts. So this is where I am going to start to sketch out or draw the plan for what my monster will look like. So I'll use my pencil, and another tool I can use are these worksheets right here that show me how to draw different animals. So if my animal is partly a bat and partly an octopus, I can use this one, and partly a cheetah, I could use these 3 worksheets to help me draw my monster. So I just have to figure out what animal body parts will be in what part of my monster. So maybe I really want my monster to have a cheetah head. Maybe I'll start with the head. So this is just a sketch, this is just a plan. So maybe I can start to sketch out the head of my monster really big here and plan it out and see how it's going to look. And then I'll start to add some eyes. And a nose. And then maybe on here I can start to add that texture. Cheetahs have these spots, so that could be my texture on the face of the cheetah. Or maybe on the ears I could start to do a very hairy texture. So far I have 2 textures. And I'm gonna try and fill up my monster with lots of textures. Okay, maybe I want the body of my animal to be a little different. Maybe I want that to be more of like an octopus body. So this is gonna get kind of weird. It's not going to look totally like a cheetah. It's gonna be kind of a cheetah put together with a different animal. So maybe I'll start to do these long tentacles that octopus have. So we want our monsters to be many animals put together, many textures put together, and then later many complementary colors put together. I can add another texture on the tentacles, that circle suction cup texture, and I can sketch that out, and I'll continue doing that. Okay, I need one more animal. I remember I said it was going to be a bat, so maybe I'll find the bat worksheet, and maybe this monster will have some bat wings. So I can start to add some bat wings on the side here. Maybe my texture on the bat wings again could be, it could be hairy, bats are hairy, or I can think of a different texture to put on the wings as well. So I want 3 animals and 3 textures in my sketch. Now if my sketch is done, then you can come check with me and we can start to plan out how we draw this monster very big on our big paper.